What, Essie?
I say the kitchen's awful hot. That new candy I'm making, it just won't ever get cool.
Well, you have to make it today, Essie. It really is a hot day.
Well, I got all those new orders.
My, if this keeps up, I suppose you'll be opening up a store.
That's what Ed was saying last night. But I said no. I want to be a dancer.
You've been studying for such a long time, though, dear.
Only 8 years. After all, Mother, you've been writing plays for 8 years.
Yes, but you shouldn't count my first 2 years because I was learning to type.
I think the candy's hardening up now.
Oh, thanks, Reba. I'll bring you some here. Mother, I want you to try it.
Finish the second act, Mrs. Sycamore?
What?
I said, did you finish the second act?
No, Reba. I've got Cynthia entering the monastery.
Wasn't she at the Kit Kat Club?
Yes, well, she gets tired of the Kit Kat Club, and there's this monastery, so she goes there.
Do they let her in?
Yes, I made it Visitors' Day, so of course anyone can come.
Oh.
Well, so she arrives on Visitors' Day, and she just stays.
You mean she stays the night?
She stays 6 years.
6 years? I bet she bust that monastery wide open.
6 years later.
Oh, Mr. DePina?
Yeah?
Mr. DePina, will you bring up one of those new skyrockets, please? I want to show them to Mrs. Sycamore.
Sure.
Look, Penny, what do you think of these little firecrackers we just made? We can sell them 10 strings for a cent. Nice, huh?
Yes, Paul dear, were you ever in a monastery?
No, I wasn't. Wait till you see the new rockets, Penny. Gold stars. And then blue stars. And then bombs. Pow, 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 pow. And then a balloon. Mr. DePina thought of the balloon.
Oh, it sounds lovely. Did you do all that today?
Oh, sure. We made up at least 3 dozen. Here we are. Look, Penny. Cost us 18 cents to make, and we can sell them for 50. How many do you figure we can make before the 4th of July, Mr. DePina?
Well, we got 2 weeks yet. When are you going to take the stuff up to Mount Vernon?
About a week. You know, we're going to need a larger booth this year. Got a lot of stuff made up. Come on, we're not through yet.
Look, Mr. Sycamore, I think the gunpowder chamber is just a bit too close to the balloon.
Well, we got the stars and the bombs in between.
But that don't give the balloon time enough. A balloon needs plenty of time.
Come on, let's go down to the cellar and try.
All right.
Mr. DePina, if a girl you loved entered a monastery, what would you do?
Oh, I don't know, Mrs. Sycamore. Become a monk?
Is Alice going to be home for dinner tonight, Miss Sycamore?
What? Oh, maybe, Reba. No.
Then I bet it's set for 8. But she hasn't been home one night this week.
Yes, I know.
Let's see, there's 6. And then there's Mr. DePina. And if Mr. Kolenkoff comes, that's 8. Yep.
Reba, I think I'm going to put this play away for a while and go back to my war play.
I always like that play. The war play? Boo! Boo!
They'll be better when they're harder, Mother, but try one. I want to know what you think.
Oh, they're lovely. What do you call them?
I think I'll call them Love Dreams.
Nice. Essie, I think I'm going back to the war play. What do you think? Because I kind of got stuck in a monastery and I can't get out.
Oh. It'll come to you, Mother. Remember how you got out of that brothel? The snakes look hungry. Did Reba feed them?
No. Reba, have you fed the snakes yet?
No, Donald's coming in. He always brings flies.
Oh. Well, let's be certain to do it before Grandpa gets home. You know how fussy he is about them.
Okie dokie, Mrs. Sycamore.
Mr. DePina was right about the balloon. It was too close to the gunpowder.
Want a love dream, Father?
No thanks, I got a wash.
I'm going back to the war play.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, Mr. Kolenkoff says I'm his most promising pupil.
You'd think with 40 monks and 1 girl, something would happen.
Come here, let me play you something.
Oh, I like that, Ed. Did you write it?
No, Beethoven.
Lovely. Got a lot of you in it. I made those new candies this afternoon, Ed.
Yeah?
You can take them around tonight.
All right. Now here's the big finish. This is me. How's that?
Look, remember that when Corn Pop comes.
Ed, dear, why don't you and Essie have a baby? I was thinking about it just the other day.
I don't know. We could have one if you wanted us to. What about it, Essie? You want to have a baby?
Oh, I don't care. I'm willing if Grandpa is.
Let's ask him.
The labor play, the religious play, the sex.
I was right about the balloon. It was too close to the gunpowder.
Anything you want printed, Mr. DePino? How about some more calling cards?
Oh, no thanks. I still have the first out.
We'll call on somebody, will you?
All right.
What have we got for dinner, Reba? I'm ready to print the menu.
Oh, let's see. We've got cornflakes, watermelon, some of Miss Essie's candies, and some kind of meat. I forget.
I think I'll set it up in bold-faced Cheltenham tonight. You know, if I'm going to take those new candies around, I better print up some descriptive matter after dinner.
Do you think anybody reads those things that you put in the candy boxes, Ed? Oh, here's my war play. Poison gas. Oh, that must be Donald.
The boyfriend, eh?
They're awfully cute.
Hello, Reba.
Donald.
Evening, everybody.
Oh,
Hi, Donald. How have you been?
Pretty good, Mr. Ed. How have you been, Miss Sycamore?
oh, very well, thank you. Donald, have you ever been in a monastery?
No, I don't get out much. I'm on relief. Good advice, Reba.
Sure, quite a lot.
And
I see you've been working. Miss Sycamore.
Yes, indeed.
M-E-M-E-A-T. What's he go there for all the time, Penny?
Grandpa, to the commencement? It's just so convenient. It's just around the corner.
Oh, Donald. Mr. DePina and I are going to take the fireworks up to Mount Vernon next week. Do you think you could give us a hand?
Of course, Mr. Sycamore. But only this time I can't take any money for it. Because if the government finds out I'm working, they'll get sore.
All right. Oh, and I got a wonderful idea in the bathroom just now. I was reading Trotsky. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, I left it there.
Who is that?
You know, Trotsky, the Russian Revolution.
Oh,
Anyhow, it struck me it was a great fireworks idea. Remember the last days of Pompeii?
yes. Oh, at Palisades Park. That's where we met.
Well, I'm going to do the revolution, a full-hour display.
Say,
That sounds wonderful, Paul.
The red fire's the flag, huh?
Sure, and the Tsar and the Cossacks. Oh, hello, Grandpa.
Well, sir, you should have been there. That's all I can say. You should have been there.
Was it a nice commencement, Grandpa?
Wonderful. They get better every year. You don't know how lucky you are. Your snakes.
Any classes here, Grandpa?
Oh, must have been 2 acres. Everybody graduated. Yes, sir. And much funnier speeches than they had last year.
well, if you want to hear great speech, go over and hear Father Divine.
They'll have him at Columbia.
Donald, will you please tell Reba that Grandpa's here now and we won't wait for Miss Alice?
Okay. Sure thing, Miss Sycamore. Reba! Grandpa's home. We can have dinner.
We made a new skyrocket today, Grandpa. Wait till you see it.
Evening, Grandpa.
Evening, Mr. DePina.
Didn't we make a fine rocket today, Mr. DePina?
We certainly did.
Wonder why they don't have fireworks at commencement.
Oh, they don't make enough noise. You take a good commencement order, he'll drown out a whole carload of fireworks. Say just as much, too.
Don't the graduates ever say anything?
No, they just sit there in their cap and nightgown, get their diplomas, and then in about 40 years, they suddenly say, "Where am I?"
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day.
Hello, have a nice day. Don't I even get a kiss? I'll have a tomato too. You know, I could have used a couple of these this afternoon.
Father?
Nothing.
No, thank you, dear.
Ed, play something.
Oh, okay.
There was a letter came for you, Grandpa. Did you get it?
For me? I don't know anybody.
Oh, it was for you, though. Had your name on it.
That's funny. Where is it?
I don't know. Where's Grandpa's letter, Mother? I don't know.
Well, who was it from? Did you notice it?
Oh, yes. It was on the outside of the envelope.
Well, who was it?
United States Government.
Wonder what they want.
There was one before that, too. From the same people. There was a couple of them.
If any more come, Essie, I wish you'd give them to me.
Yes, Grandpa.
I think I'm going to go out to Westchester tomorrow. Do a little snake hunting.
God is the state is God.
What's that?
God is the state is God.
Who says that?
Trotsky.
Oh, that's okay. I thought it was you.
It's nice for printing. Good and short. G-O-D space, I-S space, T-H-E space.
And the beautiful princess came into the palace, and she kissed her mother, and she kissed her father, and she kissed her grandfather.
Hello, darling.
Hi, Grandpa. So what do you think? They turned into the Sycamore family. Surprise!
Oh, Alice, I like the dress.
Do you?
It's new, isn't it?
It looks nice and summery.
Where'd you get it?
I took a walk during lunch hour.
You've been taking a lot of walks lately. That's the second new dress this week.
I just like to brighten up the office a little. I'm known as the K. Francis of Kirby and Company. So what's new around here in the way of plays and snakes and ballet dancing and fireworks? Dad, I bet you've been in the cellar all day.
Huh?
Well, I'm going back to the war play, Alice.
Really?
Oh, Ed, play Alice that Beethoven thing you wrote.
You know, you can mail a letter all the way from Nicaragua now for 2 pesetos.
Really?
Kenneth, my virginity is priceless to me.
Listen, people, listen. I'm not home to dinner. A young gentleman is calling for me.
Really? Who is it?
I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, but he's calling for me.
Who are you staying dinner?
No, I want him to take you in easy doses. I've tried to prepare him a little, but don't do anything that you can make to make it worse that you can help. Please don't read any of your plays, Mother. And don't let the snake bite him, Grandpa, because I like him. And Essie, I wouldn't dance for him because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet.
Can't do anything. Who is he, President of the United States?
No, Vice President of Kirby and Company, Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
The boss's son?
The boss's son, just like in the movies.
Well, that explains the new dresses.
And not being home to dinner for 3 weeks.
Sherlock Holmes.
Are you going to marry him?
Why, of course, tonight. Meanwhile, I have to go up and get my wedding dress on.
Is he good looking?
In a word, yes. Oh dear, what time is it?
I don't know. Does anyone know what time it is?
Mr. DePina might know.
It was about 5 o'clock a couple hours ago.
I ought to know better than to ask you people. Mother, will you let me know the minute he comes in, please?
Why, of course.
Yeah, I know, but I mean the minute.
Yes, dear, of course I will.
Well, be sure.
What do you think of that?
Well, she certainly seems to like him.
I should say so. She's got it bad.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if she married him? We could have the wedding in this room.
Now, wait a minute, Penny. This is the first time he's ever called for the girl.
You only called for me once.
Young people are different nowadays.
Oh, I don't know. Look at Ed and me. He came to dinner once and just stayed.
Anyhow, I think it's wonderful, Grandpa, don't you?
She certainly seems happy about it.
Well, he must be crazy about her. Maybe he's the one that's been taking her out every night. There he is! Stop! No! Rita, no! Never mind, I'll get it. Now, everybody remember what Alice said. And be very nice to him.
Well, let's get a look at it.
Well, welcome to our little home.
How do you do?
Come right in. Here we are. I'm Alice's mother, and this is Alice's grandfather, and her father, Mr. Sycamore, and Alice's sister Essie, and her husband, Ed Carmichael. Well, now, just make yourself right at home.
I'm afraid you're making a mistake.
Say what?
My car.
Wilbur C. Henderson, Internal Revenue Department.
That's right.
What can we do for you?
Does a Mr. Martin Vanderhoff live here?
Yes, sir, that's me.
Well, Mr. Vanderhoff, the government would like to speak to you about a little matter of income tax.
Income tax?
Do you mind if I sit down?
No, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
No, dear, it isn't. It's an internal something or other.
Mr. Sycamore. Oh, excuse me.
What is it?
These things are not going off. Look.
Not here, Mr. DePinna. Grandpa's busy.
Pardon me. Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, we've written you several letters about this, but have not had any reply.
Oh, that's what those letters were.
I told you they were from the government.
According to our records, Mr. Vanderhoff, you've never paid an income tax.
That's right.
Why not?
I don't believe it.
Well, you own property, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you receive a yearly income from it
I do.
of between $3,000 and $4,000.
About that.
You've been receiving it for years.
I have, since 1901, if you need the exact date.
Well, the government is only concerned from 1914 on. That's when the income tax started.
Well,
Well, it seems, Mr. Vanderhoff, that you owe the government 24 years back income tax.
Wait a minute. You can't go back that far. That's outlawed.
What's your name?
What difference does that make?
Ever file an income tax return?
No, sir.
And what was your income last year?
$28.55, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, you know there's quite a penalty for not filing an income tax return.
Penalty?
Mr. Henderson, let me ask you something.
Well,
Suppose I pay you this money. Mind you, I don't say I'm going to pay it, but for the sake of argument, what's the government going to do with it?
how do you mean?
Well, what do I get for my money? See, I go into Macy's and I buy something, and I see it. There it is. What's the government going to give me?
Well, what, the government? It gives you everything. It protects you.
What from?
Well, invasion. Foreigners that might come over here and take everything you've got.
I don't think they're going to do that.
If you didn't pay an income tax, they would. How do you think the government keeps up with the Army and the Navy and all those battleships?
We haven't used battleships since the Spanish-American War. And what did we get out of that? Cuba. And we gave it right back. I wouldn't mind paying if it was something sensible.
Sensible? Well, what about Congress? And the Supreme Court? And the President? We've got to pay for them, don't we?
Not with my money. No, sir.
Now wait a minute. I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is that you haven't paid an income tax, and you've got to pay it.
They've got to show me.
We don't have to show you. I just told you. All those buildings down in Washington and interstate commerce and the Constitution.
The Constitution was paid for long ago, and interstate commerce. What is interstate commerce?
Well, you see, there are 48 states, you see. And if there weren't interstate commerce,
Why not? Have they got fences?
No, they haven't got fences. They've got laws. My God, I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, I might pay about $75, but that's all it's worth.
You'll pay every cent. Just like everybody else.
Listen, Essie, listen to this a minute.
And let me tell you something else. You'll go to jail if you don't pay. Do you hear that? That's the law. And if you think that you're bigger than the law, you've got another thing coming. You're no better than anybody else. And the sooner you get that through your head, the better. You'll hear from the United States government. That's all I can say.
Oh, watch out for the snake!
How's that, Essie?
Fine, Ed.
How did that sound to you folks?
I liked it.
My goodness, he was mad, wasn't he?
Well, it's not his fault, really. The whole thing is just, it's just so silly.
He forgot his hat.
What size is that?
7 1/8.
It's just right for me.
Who was that fella anyway, Grandpa?
This must be Mr. Kirby. Now remember, everybody, what Alice said, be very nice to him. I'm going to make sure it's him. How do you do?
Good evening.
Is this Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Well, Mr. Kirby, come right in. We've been expecting you. Come right in. This is really Mr. Kirby. I'm Alice's mother, and this is Mr. Sycamore, and Grandpa, and Alice's sister Essie and her husband. Now just give me your hat. Make yourself right at home.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
Yes. Yes, dear, it is. He's lovely.
I'll be right down.
Oh, I hope I'm not keeping you from dinner.
No, not at all. Would you like a tomato?
No, thank you.
Oh, how would you like a piece of candy?
No thanks.
Oh, Mr. DePina, I forgot to introduce you. This is Mr. DePina, Mr.
How do you
Kirby.
do?
How do you do?
Say, wasn't I reading about your father in the newspaper the other day? Didn't he get indicted or something?
Hardly that. He just testified before the Securities Commission.
Of course. I'm sure there was nothing crooked about it, Mr. DePina. As a matter of fact, Alice has often told us what a wonderful man your father is.
Well, I know Father couldn't get along without Alice. She knows more about the business than any of us.
You're awful young, Mr. Kirby, aren't you? To be vice president of a big place like that?
Well, you know what that means. Vice President. All I have is a desk with my name on it.
Is that all? Don't you get a salary?
Well, a little. More than I'm worth, I'm afraid.
Oh, I think you're just being modest.
Sounds a little dull to me, Wall Street. Do you like it?
Well, the hours are short, and I haven't been there very long.
Oh, just out of college, huh?
Well, I knocked around for a while first. Just sort of had fun.
What'd you do, travel?
For a while. And then I went to Cambridge for a year.
Ooh, England?
That's right.
Say, what's an English commencement like? Did you see any?
Oh, very impressive.
They are, huh?
Anyhow, now the fun's over, and I'm facing the world.
So I suppose you're ready to settle down and get married.
Come now, Penny. I'm sure Mr. Kirby knows his own mind.
Oh, I wasn't trying to make up his mind for him, was I, Mr. Kirby?
That's quite all right, Mrs. Sycamore.
You see?
You mustn't rush him, Mother.
I just thought that he's bound to get married, and suppose the wrong girl gets him.
Well, here I am. Apparently you've had time to get acquainted.
Yes, we were having a delightful talk about love and marriage.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. I came as fast as I could.
Oh, I didn't mind in the least.
Damn those flies in the kitchen! Oh, hello, Alice. You look beautiful. Where are you going?
I'm going out, Reba.
Stepping, huh?
Then let's be going home.
I think we better go.
Grandpa, you take cream in on your cornflakes?
Half and half, Donald.
My repishka!
Oh, that's all right.
And that's my execute.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Grandpa, I have had a letter from Russia. The second 5-year plan is a failure.
Not just today, Mr. Cullencock.
My Pavlova.
If you'll excuse us, Mr. Kohenkoff.
My little Alice. Never have you looked so magnificent.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Kohenkoff. Mr. Kirby, this is Mr. Kohenkoff, SE's dancing teacher, Mr. Kirby.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
Yes, so I think we better go. We're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet.
The Monte Carlo Ballet. It stinks.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm so glad to have met you all.
Bye.
Oh, goodbye. The Monte Carlo Ballet. Ah!
Who is it, Mr. Kirby? Lovely!
Dinner's ready! Come on, everybody!
I thought he was a nice fellow, didn't you?
Oh, and so good looking.
And such nice manners. Did you notice, Paul, his manners?
I certainly did. You were getting pretty personal with him.
Oh, now, now I'm thinking he's a very nice young man.
The guy looks like a cousin of mine. Ah, Diagonal, then you had ballet.
If they get married here, I think the altar should be where the snakes are. You don't mind, Grandpa, do
As
you?
long as the snakes don't.
Oh, no, they'll want to get married in a church with family and everything.
Yes, of course they would.
Okay, everybody, quiet. Quiet, everybody.
Well, sir, we've been getting along pretty good for quite a while now, and we're certainly much obliged. Remember, all we ask is just go along and be happy, each in our own sort of way. Of course, we all want to keep our health, but as far as anything else is concerned, we leave that to you. Thank you. So, the second 5-year plan is a failure, Colin?
Catastrophic. And wait till they get to the third 5-year plan.
Of course, his family's going to want to come. Oh, imagine Alice marrying a Kirby.
Isn't that exciting?
I'll play the wedding march on the xylophone.
What have we got for dinner? I'm hungry.
Just walking inside any theater gives me a thrill.
Well, it's been so lovely, Tony. I hate to have it over.
Oh, is it over? Do I have to go?
Not if you don't want to.
I don't.
Would you like a cold drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what's in the icebox. You want to come along?
Well, I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Just the kitchen's enough.
Why, I like it. You've done it very simply, haven't you?
Yes, we didn't know whether to do it Empire or the Grecian.
So you settled for frigid air.
Yes, it's so easy to live with. Lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. An icebox full of cornflakes, that gives you a rough idea of the sycamores.
Now, if you'll be seated, I'd like to offer a toast.
I am seated.
Miss Sycamore, to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. To you.
You know something?
What?
I wouldn't trade 1 minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart.
Is there much rice in China?
Terrific. Didn't you read The Good Earth? Well, I suppose I ought to go.
Is it very late?
Very. Don't want to go.
I don't want you to go.
All right, I won't. When do you get your vacation?
Last 2 weeks in August.
Well, I might take mine then, too.
Really?
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I hadn't thought much of it.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I like the city in the summertime.
Oh, I do, too.
But you usually go up to Cape Cod, don't you?
That's right. Chatham. But I'm sure I would like the city in the summertime if... Well, you know what I mean, Alice. I'd love it if you were here.
Well, it'd be nice if you were, Tony.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you'd rather spend the summer with me than anybody else.
Was I?
Well, if it's true about the summer, how would you feel about the winter?
Yes, I'd like that too.
And then there's spring and autumn. If you could see your way clear about those, Miss Sycamore?
I might.
I guess that's the whole year. We haven't missed anything, have we?
No.
Well then.
Is that you, Alice? What time is it? Oh, Mr. Kirby, I had no idea. Excuse me. Did I interrupt anything?
Not at all, Mrs. Sycamore.
I just came down for a manuscript. And then you can go right ahead. Here we are. Sex takes a holiday. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I think you can call me Penny. Don't you, Alice?
What's that?
It's nothing. It's just Father, Tony.
This time of night?
Any time of night, any time of day.
You know, you're more beautiful, more lovely, more adorable than anybody else in the whole world.
Don't, Tony.
What? My dear, just because you're mother... All mothers are like that, Alice. And Penny's a darling. You see? Anita calling her Penny.
I don't mean that. Look, this is something I should have said a long time ago, but I didn't have the courage. I let myself be swept away because I love you so.
Darling.
Tony, I want to make this clear to you. You're of a whole different world, a whole different kind of people. And I don't mean money or socially, that's silly. But your family and mine, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work.
All right, have it your way. She can't dance. That's why they pay her all that money, because she can't dance.
Well, I don't call that dancing, what she does. Oh, hello, how was the ballet?
It was fine, I see.
Wonderful. Hello there. Hello.
Look, what do you people think? Ed and I just saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Oh, why, yes, I always thought so.
What does she do, anyhow? Well, now look, you're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Please, Essie.
I only want to use him for a minute. Now look, Mr. Kirby.
We all agree you're just as good as Ginger Rogers.
You see, Ed?
Yeah, come on, Essie, we're butting in here.
Oh, they've been together all evening. Good night, Mr. Kirby. Good night, Alice.
Good night, Mrs. Carmichael.
Good night. Essie, did you ask Grandpa about us having a baby?
Oh, yes. He said to go right ahead.
Now you see what I mean? That's what it would be like.
Oh, I didn't mind any of that. Anyhow, we're not going to be living with your family. It's just you and I.
No, it isn't. It's never quite that. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. And I know they do some rather strange things, but I don't know. They're sweet and they're fun and there's a kind of nobility about them.
Alice, you talk as though you're the only one who understands them. That's not true. Why, every family has got curious little traits. What of it? My father raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. Is that sensible? My mother believes in spiritualism. That's just as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
It goes deeper than that. Your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable. And your father raises orchids because he can afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by mistake.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit business one day. He started up the elevator and he came right back down. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man, but he said it took too much time. So for 35 years, he's collected snakes and gone to circuses and commencements. It never occurs to any of them.
Hello, children.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Vanderhoff.
How's the weather? It looks like a nice summer evening.
It's lovely, Grandpa.
Well, I'm off. Good evening, Mr. Kirby. I've got a date with the policeman on the corner.
A policeman?
Yes, standing date, 12:30 every evening. I've known him since he was a little boy. He's really a doctor. But after he graduated, he came to me and said he didn't want to be a doctor. He always wanted to be a policeman. So I told him, you go right ahead and be a policeman if that's what you want to be. And that's what he did. How do you like my new hat?
Oh, it's very nice, Mr. Vanderhoff.
The government gave it to me.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't know you all were in here.
It's all right, Donald.
Well, we were kind of fancying some candy, and oh, here it is. You all don't want it, do you?
No, Donald.
Did you have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Nice dinner?
Yes, Donald.
Was the ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
That's nice.
Now, do you see what I mean? Could you explain Donald to your father? Could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't, Tony, you couldn't. I love you, but I love them too, and it's just no use.
There's only one thing that you've said that matters, that makes any sense at all. You love me.
But Tony...
But darling, don't you think other people have the same problem? Everybody's got a family.
Not like mine.
But that doesn't stop two people who love each other. Darling, they want you to be happy, don't they?
Well, of course they do, but they can't change, Tony. I wouldn't want them to change.
They won't have to change. They're charming, lovable people just as they are. Everything will work out. All that matters right now is that we love each other.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to see a little gaiety around here. Young gentlemen calling and getting engaged and everything.
Well, what do I say?
Well, first you thank the young man for getting engaged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell him what it was about him that first took your girlish heart.
The back of your head.
Huh?
It wasn't your money or your charm, it was the back of your head. I just liked it.
Well, what happened when I turned around?
I got used to it.
Oh, Alice, we're pretty lucky, aren't we?
I know I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
I'm not exactly unlucky myself. Oh dear, I guess I ought to. Well, darling, good night. Until tomorrow.
Darling.
Meet me in the drugstore in the morning. I'll have millions of things to say to you.
All right.
And then lunch, and then dinner tomorrow night.
Tony, what'll people say?
Oh, it's got to come out sometime. In fact, if you know of a good housetop, I'd like to do a little shouting.
Yes, sir, Mr. DePinto, we did a good night's work.
That's what, 500 Black Panthers, 300 willow trees, and 8 dozen junior kitty bombers.
Pretty good. Oh, hello, Alice. You just come in?
No, I've been home quite a while.
Have a nice evening.
I had a lovely evening.
I say, I'd like you to take a look at this new red fire. Mr. DePinto, turn out the lights. I'd like Alice to get the full effect. Take a look at this new red fire. It's beautiful. There. What do you think of it? Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, Father. Everything's beautiful. It's the most beautiful red fire in the world.